a quick minute to introduce Shraddha. Shraddha here is a clinical psychologist and also a habit coach, and she has worked with various renowned organizations like Culfed, Fortis Hospitals, and Optimus Center of Wellbeing. And outside the walls of a therapy room or counseling rooms, Shraddha loves reading books, traveling, and she has two adorable, dogs, Bubbles and Bruno. So yeah, I think that's all from my end. Over to you, Shraddha.
Right. So before we go ahead with the workshop, I would like to talk to you all about why the idea of this workshop came out, or what we're trying to achieve in this session, right? So what I had noticed over the past couple of, say, months of working with Circle Health and talking to a variety of people is that the thing that has affected everybody to some or the other extent is the amount of stress in our day-to-day lives, be it stress from managing work, managing home, managing a work-life balance, managing our relationships, and the thoughts that surround these situations, leading to a lot of stress, sometimes a little bit of anxiety, moderate level of anxiety, or high level of anxiety as well. Now, while there are many, many different ways to go about treating stress and anxiety in the clinical setting, there is also a little bit of work that you can do at home as the starting point to understand how you're actually doing, to take the first basic steps or the first aid that you can apply to yourself. Okay. And journaling is one such step. When I say journaling, it means something as simple as writing down, noting down how you are feeling, right? If we go and look at the textbook definition, it means it's a technique that uses writing as a tool that helps you examine how you're feeling, examine what you're thinking, and to gradually move those thoughts from a negative to a positive space. A space that allows you to work on those negative thoughts and to work on yourself at the same time. There are many, many benefits of a self care activity like journaling, and I have mentioned just a few here. The top ones, of course. Number one, it helps you manage rumination, or the better way to call it is overthinking. A lot of us overthink a lot, right? Starting from tiny things to things that actually deserve a lot of attention. We all have fallen into a pattern of rumination that again leads to anxiety. Journaling can help you manage that. If you're not feeling very well, if you're suddenly feeling distressed, if you're not able to understand your emotional state, then also journaling can help you understand yourself better. It can also help you express pent up feelings, meaning that things that you have not spoken to anybody about. Okay, whether it is because that is how you typically are or because you do not have an option. When you note it down, when you put it down on a piece of paper in a very scientific manner, which we will be going through, it automatically helps you resolve a lot of inner conflict. Finally, it will also help you understand what are the things in your emotional, social, physical environment that triggers you, that might lead you to feeling worse than how you're feeling. It will also help you to understand how you can avoid or work on those triggers. So, with this aim to help you all understand your emotions better, because identifying your emotions is the first step towards release of stress and anxiety. Working on those emotions becomes the second step. And today we are going to do a bit of both. Okay, so going forward, I will be working with you actively on three journaling techniques. For this, I would request you to please arm yourself with a pen or a pencil and two or three sheets of paper. Let's move on to free writing. So, free writing. What does free writing mean? Free writing means you allow yourself to go to a state of mind, okay, where you're able to write down whatever is on your mind at the present. You don't have to dig deep. Okay, please listen carefully. You don't have to dig deep. You do not even have to think about what happened yesterday. You only focus on the thoughts that come and go, maybe say in the next 5 to 6 minutes. Okay. So the first step when it comes to free writing is you give yourself a timer. For how many minutes do you want to explore your current state of mind? Okay. For beginners, I would suggest anywhere between 6 to 10 minutes. That is enough time to be mindful, to be present. Okay. That is enough time for you to stay present and note down your current concerns instead of ruminating, going in a cycle, right? Number one, after you set the timer, write down everything that comes to our mind. Finally, once you are done, challenge the thoughts that you see you have put on the paper. If it is a negative thought, ask yourself, why do you have this thought? Ask yourself, what can be the outcomes that I'm so scared of? Ask yourself, how do I make this fear better? What can I do practically to make this fear better or this stressor go? So instead of, say, focusing on a stressor throughout the day, letting it subconsciously affect us, we take out active 6 minutes in a day to work on it. Okay. My only request to you while we start off this exercise is that you stay present. If you struggle with staying mindful or with staying present, it is understandable because this might be the first time you are doing this. Okay. How this exercise benefits you or how does it help you manage your anxiety and stress? One, when you note down what is on your mind, when you look within yourself and you examine the thoughts that are coming and going, the moment you put it down on paper, you get more clarity. Second, as you ask yourself these questions, you'll also be able to understand whether these things that you're so worried about deserve that worry or not. It puts things into perspective. And finally, we will move ahead with solutions for this. All right, folks, our 5 minutes are up. I hope you have all been able to examine your thoughts as they have come, as they have gone. I hope you have been able to put everything down in whatever language, in whatever shorthand that you wanted to write in. And I hope that you have been able to do it non judgmental. I hope you've not judged your thoughts. I hope you've let them come. And I hope that you have not censored them. Okay. Because censoring them would not allow you to explore every bit of your emotional state. I know that when we are on a free flow of thoughts. So I hope that you all have been able to do that. And why I suggest that do not censor what you're thinking of is because if you censor, you would not be able to be fully aware of your emotional climate. And I acknowledge that when you allow these free flowing thoughts to come and go, there might be thoughts that are not very pleasant, that might not put you in the best light possible. But as an individual, it is important to acknowledge those parts as well. Now, I have also done this exercise along with you. So let me go ahead and show you a couple of my thoughts so that I can show you how to do the work around these thoughts as well. So while I have been doing this for a while, talking to a group of people, whether it is online or offline, does give me the butterflies, right? Because there are lots of thoughts going on. As I concentrated, as I let my thoughts come in front of the screen, my first thought was nervous about the reception, about how this workshop would be received by everybody. I have also written, it makes my body feel a little weird, a strange fullness in my stomach, meaning I next focused on the physical way my body was feeling because of the emotion of nervousness. I extended my mindfulness to include not just my thoughts, but also to acknowledge how my body was feeling. When you are anxious, when you are stressed, it is very important to note how your body is doing as well. Because a lot of time our bodies would give us more hints about our mental state more than our own emotions would be able to tell us. Okay. Then, secondly, after that, I have written this is a small step, but even though it's a small step, there will be a couple of people who will go home with better idea about how to take care of themselves. So that gave me a positive edge to my fears as well. Now, these are the things that went through my mind. I focused a lot on my bodily feelings. I focused a lot on how it was making me feel emotionally as well. Now that I have these thoughts written down, now comes the time where I work on the thoughts that I have. The first thing is perspective. Am I focusing more on the negative thoughts? This is the first question you need to ask yourself. In my case, it's a mixture of both. While on the one hand, I am nervous that people may not enjoy the workshop. On the other hand, I am very confident that people will learn how to take care of themselves better after this. So it's a balance. This is not something that should worry me. Secondly, how likely is it that the negative parts or my fears will come true? 50-50. It could go either ways. Is it in my control? It's not. Should I be more worried then? Absolutely not. Finally, how can I use my circumstance better to create a better outcome? Right? As I explored, I thought the best I can do is to do my best right now, whatever be the outcome. So, this particular worry that was in the last reflective state that I was in was a worry that need not be carried forward in the long term. Whatever the worry is about this workshop or how it is being received, this is only temporary, right? How likely is it that my fears are going to come true? Am I focusing more on the negative? How can I do something better? So whenever you have a situation that is worrying you, or at the end of the day, this is a very, very good exercise, a very, very fast exercise for a quick check-in to your mental health. At the end of the day, if you take 5 minutes of your time and have this check-in, you'll be able to understand how your day went. What are the things that stressed you out today? What are the things that will occupy your mind for the next day as well? It's a very, very effective way to be self reflective, to be mindful of where you are, of your emotional state and will. And this will give you an advance warning if something serious with your mental health is around the corner. We'll move on to the next technique. So, this is a more structured way of checking in with yourself when you have had a long term worry or something that you know will not be solved at one go. Okay, there are situations in our lives that take up a lot more of our mental state. To each his own. For example, something that occupies a lot of my time, thinking, understanding, planning, is how do I manage work life balance? Okay. Another way that I recently used this a couple of months ago was when I had a fallout with a very dear friend, and it led me to feel very, very overwhelmed, right? So, this thought diary is something that you can use if you have a major crisis ongoing, if you have something that you want to think about before you make a decision. Now, this thought diary helps you manage stress on a day to day basis. You'd be able to track your thoughts about a particular situation, your feelings, your ideas about a particular situation on a day to day basis, and for the long term as well. At the end of the week, you'd be able to see how your thoughts, fears, feelings, emotions evolve from day one to day seven. At the end of day seven, you'd be able to understand yourself better, make a decision if that is what you have to do. For this exercise, this will take us another, say, 2 to 3 minutes to practice. In a sheet of paper again, make 5 columns. Okay. In the first column, case. Second column, write down feeling. Third column, thinking. Fourth column, illusions. And fifth column, reality. Now let's talk about what you are going to do for each of these 5 columns. Column 1 is the situation that is on your mind. Okay, it can be anything. It could be a situation that has been on your mind since this morning. It could be a situation that has been on your mind for a month. You get my drift. Okay, it can be any situation that is stressing you out or that is making you feel anxious. Okay, so that is what you note down in case. Today is your day one. Write down how you are feeling. Use single words. Take your time to think it through. Okay, if you have a difficult time visualizing how you're feeling, you can close your eyes and you can imagine one by one what feelings are coming out of you. If it's any help, you can also imagine what color you can see before the feeling as well. Okay, that would allow you to identify your feelings too. And feelings can be any, they can be negative, they can be positive, they can be neutral. Once you're done noting down how you're feeling about the situation, Write down whatever you're thinking. This, you can use words, phrases, sentences, a paragraph, anything. It should only make sense to you. In the fourth column, illusions, this is where you challenge your thought system again. In your feelings and thinking, you might have thoughts that are just stressed, that may be just anxious. Here you challenge it. Challenge it how? By learning the techniques in the last exercise. How likely is it that this is an illusion? How likely is it that I'm overthinking this? How likely is it that this fear might never come true? How likely is it that I'm worrying about only the negatives? Illusions is the part where you question yourself. Finally, after you ponder and write down only what is real to you. At the end, the last column, reality, is where you note down practical outcomes of your fear or your worry. Even after challenging your views and thoughts, if you still have thoughts that are worried or anxious or stressed in the reality column, you can go ahead and put them there. It merely means that you might need a little extra help to challenge your perspective. Okay. And I also want to let you all know, folks, all of these exercises, right, they take a little bit of us when you put them down on paper, meaning that we might visit certain things that are not very pleasant to think about. We might suddenly remember certain triggers. If that is the case, or if after this you would simply like a follow up about what you have written, or there is a trigger that triggered you or made you feel emotionally overwhelmed, you are most welcome to book a session with me. That session is also absolutely free and you do not have to worry about anything else. Simply reach out to your care manager for a follow up and it will be arranged with you. And I don't just mean that if you find some problem or if you find that you're overwhelmed, if you just want to follow up and understand what you wrote down, even for that, we can arrange a session. All right. So this is the instruction to you now. Please make 5 columns and just write about one case. Okay. Do not take a lot of time. Take maybe the next 4 to 5 minutes. Feeling is your emotion. What emotion can you identify? I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling sad. I'm happy. I'm angry. I'm irritated about my situation. Okay. It's not a general feeling wala question. It's feeling about the case you have just written, about this particular case. For example, I have had a breakup. So, how am I feeling about the breakup? Relieved, sad, angry, happy. All of those emotions would come under feeling. Feeling like crying, feeling like suffocating, feeling intensely free after the breakup. All of those things are feelings and they will come under the feeling category. Thinking would be thoughts. Okay. Thoughts, ideas, beliefs about your situation. It would not be happiness, sadness, but it would be things that come along with your situation. For example, I have just had a breakup. What are my thoughts about this? Did I make a mistake? Is it the best thing that has happened to me? Am I going to be lonely forever? Is there something wrong with me? Was I cheated with? Was I taken advantage of? Was this the best that could have happened to me? All of those things are your thoughts. Okay. Now, in illusions, what you do is you take the negatives from the thinking column. Okay. You take the thoughts that are illogical, you take the thoughts that are affecting you, because the positive ones will not affect your stress and your anxiety levels, only the negative ones. In the illusions column, you take those negative thoughts, okay, and you examine them. Is there any proof? Is there any concrete proof that what I'm worried about is actually true? I'm not good enough. Is there any actual proof? On what basis am I saying that I'm not good enough? That's why I had a breakup, right? So, where you challenge your own thoughts, where you question your own thoughts, you examine what have I done that I am calling myself. I'm telling that I do not deserve it. I deserve better. So you challenge yourself part by part, all the negative thoughts, and when you reach an answer, be it positive or be it negative, you put it down in the reality section. For example, case would be I am continuously angry about person X. In feeling, explore what sort of feelings are associated with this. You might also have positive feelings about the person hidden away somewhere. So focus on how you're feeling. Move on to thinking next. What are your thoughts? I want to kill this person. This person has done something wrong to me. This is how that person makes me feel. All of those things would come under thinking. In illusions, ask yourself whether the feeling of anger is justified. How long have you had the feeling? How long are you going to hold on to it? By holding on to this feeling, are you harming yourself? All of those questions in your illusion section. And finally, reality is what you conclude, right? For any strong emotional situation like this, I would always recommend that you follow up with yourself over a course of days, right? Since you're doing this activity today, take 5 minutes tomorrow as well. Take 5 minutes day after tomorrow. Notice how, when you acknowledge your feelings, how, when you challenge your feelings continuously day after day, over a period of 3, 4 days, your thought process is going to change, right? Then you'd be able to understand yourself better. So, team, let's start. Please take this time to think about one case that has been on your mind for the last couple of days or weeks or months, whatever occupies the most amount of space in your mind. If it is stressing you out, note down case, feeling, thinking, examine your thoughts and illusions, then move to reality. Okay. So when you do this over a period of say 3 to 4 days, you'd be able to understand. Since today you would take the time to actually identify your feelings and thoughts, you would actually challenge your thoughts about the situation you're in. Over the next 3 to 4 days, you are going to observe a change in how you think, how you feel, what illusions you maintain, what seems real and what doesn't. And as always, however you have felt, however you have written, whatever your feelings or thoughts are, they're absolutely valid. Nobody is going through what you are going through, what your experience is. So nobody gets to decide whether how you're feeling is valid or not, right? If it is a case that has taken some root in your mind and has led to some feeling, some thought, then it is absolutely valid. Okay. So going ahead, is there anybody who would like to share what they have written?
So this is rather more like a question. So while I was writing a case, so this is basically like a fight that I had with one of my family members. Okay. So obviously the feelings that I will have will be disrespected or hurt and very upset. I don't know what is going to happen next like that. So after writing my feelings, I did jot down my thinking. So in thinking, I would not actually brief that, but the problem that I came upon was after thinking I had no such things to put in the illusion part. You understand? Because the logically ideas and examining evidence and all. So I already know what I'm thinking is a situation. So I don't know how to further navigate because I don't, in this case, or maybe in other cases also, I might not have illusions. And even if I come upon reality, so what will be my next steps to go with this? Because somewhere I know, suppose I have a disagreement with someone, और उसके बाद हम दोनों में disagreement हुआ, I am feeling upset about it. But then how will illusions and reality will help me in that case? Because at the end of the day, I am hurt and I feel, oh, I was not validated by the person. However, I feel validated when I do this case, right? So I have that question: how to navigate through in illusions and reality, and what will be the next steps after reality?
Understood, Ashray. That's a very, very valid question. Okay. Suppose if you are 100% sure, right, that what you are feeling and what you're thinking, that there is no illusion involved. Okay. This is not something that is internal. This is something that is external. Somebody has disrespected you. Somebody has hurt you. Somebody has invalidated you. How do you go ahead then? Right? So, what happens then? Instead of focusing on the thoughts, because you know that you're not at fault and there is not much internal work you can do, what you can do is you can focus on your feelings instead. How it made you feel. Okay. What are the feelings right now? What would you like to happen instead? We go to the reality column instead. Okay. You can leave the illusion bit as it is. You go to the reality part and you write down a real consequence or something that is ideal for you. What would you expect instead? Would you expect that the person who has disrespected you talk to you? Again, question yourself, is the person likely to contact you, or is the person important enough for you that you go and have a conversation and tell them openly that this is how I am feeling, this is something I want you to address? Those are the things you can explore in the reality column: how you're feeling, what you would like to have happened instead, and what is your course of action. Do you take action? Do you wait for the person to take action? Do you let it go? This would allow you, number one, to gain understanding of that other person's state of mind as well. Okay, and while I know that it is something that is easier said than done, when we feel hurt, when we feel disrespected by somebody, it becomes very difficult to understand their point of view, to understand why they may have done something or said something. But if it is a relationship that you value, if it is a source of stressor that you would rather work on, whether the work is internal or external, that is with another person, if you decide that it is work that you want to do, you can always pick it up. You can put it in the reality section. You can note down what are the real expectations you have, how you would rather see this play out, and then take those necessary steps. I also had written down a little bit. I had written down my case was that I am currently working out of my parents' place, which is not in Bangalore, and I am very far away from my dogs. My case is I do not know whether I want to settle down here or whether I want to go back to Bangalore. I am feeling anxious. I'm feeling stressed. I'm also a little afraid because they are being taken care of by a friend at the moment. I don't know what's going to happen. In my thoughts, I have the one thought that keeps circulating: what if I can't bring them here? Right? In illusions, I have challenged myself. If it is really something that I want to do, if it is really something I want to settle down with, I can always apply to somewhere else that would allow me to work from home. I can travel to Bangalore and get them home if needed. Okay. So these are the illusions that where I'm challenging my thought. What if I can't get them here? That's an illogical thought. If I would like to get them here, I would be able to find some way. And finally, reality. There are ways to get them here if needed. Okay, but it still makes me nervous thinking about the whole process, which again is absolutely valid. Okay, so this is another example. Let's move on to a very fun journaling technique, particularly if you're not ready to, have long term commitments, particularly if you just want to work on your positive mental health. Okay, if you just want to work on getting a quick solution, getting a quick understanding of how you're feeling, how you're doing, what can you do better today. This last technique is the simplest of all. It's called using journal prompts. Okay, journal prompts are essentially open-ended questions. Okay, open-ended questions or open-ended phrases, so that allows you to explore how you're feeling at the moment, how you're doing at the moment. Okay, it does not depend on you to sit and think about a lot of things to explore deeper. And most of these prompts are designed in a way that allows you to change your perspective after a long day. Maybe if you're feeling negative, there are prompts that will help you feel positive. If you're feeling very stressed, there are prompts that will help you let go of those stresses. All of these techniques that we have spoken about so far, be it free writing, okay, be it journal prompts, anything at all, these all depend on conscious practice. Conscious practice meaning that you do these exercises with the aim of feeling better, with the aim of releasing your stress and anxiety mindfully, non judgmentally. Okay, so just walking you through some of these prompts. What is something I'm grateful for today? How does that help you? When you focus on something that you're grateful for, it automatically brings your shift from the negative to the positive. It's a conscious practice that you cultivate. Noting down one thing you're grateful for every day. At the end of the day, maybe while you're going to bed, what is something I need to let go? This is a question that would allow you to understand things that are past their due date, feelings, people, situations. What does my anxiety look and sound like? When I was exploring how I paid attention to what my body felt like, when I was exploring an anxious thought, I wrote that my stomach was feeling strangely heavy. So that is what my anxiety looks like. And I have known it for quite some time. Okay. How my body looks like, what my body feels. What does it sound like? Do you have a word for your anxiety? Can you name it something? It can also apply to stress. What does your stress look like? Where is your stress? Where can you identify it the most? Next, what activities make me feel calm? Make a list of things or make a list of just one thing that will help you calm down at the end of the day. For me, an activity that makes me feel very calm is reading books from my childhood. Maybe it is the familiarity, maybe it is the comfort, but uh, right now I am reading the Twilight series. I'm rereading it. This is my 10-year anniversary. I read it 10 years ago and I'm rereading it in my parents' house. It's an activity that makes me feel absolutely calm. I do not have to use a lot of my mind, right? It is something that takes me to a very safe space. Who are the people that make me feel space? That is safe. That is very, very important. Make a list of people who make you feel emotionally, physically safe. People who you know love you with nothing that, with no conditions, or maybe a couple of conditions, because expecting unconditional love is also very unrealistic. As a psychologist, I'm telling you this, right? So, who are people that make your life better, who make you feel safe? When was the last time you spent some time with them? Make a plan to see them, maybe make drop a text, talk to them. These are all sources of social support. We are so engrossed in living our lives by ourselves, in solving our own problems, we tend to forget that every man and woman is a social being. We would be nowhere without social support. How do I want to feel when I wake up tomorrow? Again, this is a very, very integral part of positive psychology. It is basically intentional living, living a life of intent. As you go to bed, when you visualize how you want to feel tomorrow, you're willing it into existence. It's a conscious practice. What are the 5 good things that happened to me today? Changes your perspective. Even if you're stressed out, when you redirect your energy, your consciousness, your attention to the positives, automatically there is a shift in how you perceive and process your stress and anxiety as well. Write a positive affirmation about yourself. I am strong. I am capable. I love my parents. I am able to take care of them. I love my dogs and I'm able to take care of them. Things that show you that you are somebody who is good, who is capable. You count your strengths. Then, who made my day better? Whose day did I make better? Again, this is focusing on the present. Was there a colleague today who helped you out with something? Was there a friend that did something nice for you? Was it your mom who helped you process something difficult? This is an exercise that I keep doing very, very often. Okay, who made my day better? It automatically fills you up with so much gratitude. In which ways am I hard on myself? How can I offer myself a bit more support? At the end of the day, if you've had a hard day, if you end up doubting yourself, your abilities, who you are as a person, you must sit down and identify if you're being hard on yourself. If the voice that you use to talk to yourself is your voice, or is it the voice of people over the years? Teachers who never really understood you, uh, exes, parents. Often we are an amalgamation of all of these voices. So when you sit and consciously examine, right, which ways you're hard on yourself, also ask yourself, is the voice I'm hearing right now my own voice, or is it somebody else? Once you identify that, you'd be able to also identify how you can treat yourself better. One way that I often catch myself, and being hard on myself is something I genuinely struggle with, okay, even as a psychologist. So when I'm particularly hard on myself, I ask myself, who is my most favorite person today? Okay, it keeps changing. Who is my favorite person today? And would I treat them the same way? If the answer is no, I also allow myself to be a little more easier on myself. Okay. So these are the ways in which these journal prompts are designed, okay, with the help of psychological theory to help you move from a negative space to a more positive space. It's a very light-hearted one. Choose any 2 prompts, okay, any 2 or 3 prompts, and write down whatever is on your mind. When you sit down to do this exercise as well, if you have time, you can take up as many as you want. If not, you can pick up 2 or 3, the ones that you relate to most, the ones you think would help you out the most today. Are you looking to feel more grateful today? Are you looking to see what you need to let go of today? Right? Depending on your need, pick up any of these journal prompts, work on them. So, is there anybody who would like to share?
Something that I'm grateful for today. So in my area, it's been raining quite a bit, and half part of the society is not having electricity. So I'm grateful that I was having electricity. Maybe it's a small thing, but in terms of work and everything, yes, that is what I'm grateful for today. What activities make me feel calm? So working makes me feel calm when I'm learning something new, pursuing a course or something that makes me feel calm. And in the morning when I'm doing yoga, that makes me feel calm. And spending time with my kid. Who are the people who make me feel safe? Actually, I am a single child, and there are friends of mine. I'm glad to have certain some friends. They make me feel safe, and I don't feel opinionated in front of them. So these are the three prompts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Radhika. I mean, I can definitely see the genuinity that literally flowed out of you as you walked us through these prompts. You talked about something you're grateful for, you talked about people you're grateful for, right? It immediately allows you and your mind to travel to a space that is more positive. Okay, and the part about feeling grateful for something very small, not at all. This is exactly what the great gratitude exercise is about. It can be something extremely infit it can be something extremely small as well, in general purview. Okay, but it did not make sense to anybody else if it's making sense to you, right? Having electricity at a time where electricity might not be there, that's all right. It's absolutely valid to feel happy about that. And the people who make you feel safe, people, genuine people in your life. It is amazing that you took the time to think about them. And you are going to think about them even after this exercise. Okay, unconsciously, subconsciously, as you move through the rest of your day, you will at some point remember why you're grateful to them, why they make you feel safe, right? So, this exercise, this prompt is a very shortcut way to get a perspective of what's important in life, things you're grateful for, things that make sense when nothing else does. I will share with you what I have written. Okay, so I also picked the same thing. I picked things that I am grateful for. And as I walked through them, I realized how happy I am, right, to be able to do this. I wrote that I'm grateful for my home, that I have a home to come back to. I am grateful that I don't have to pay rent. I am grateful that I ate so well today. I am grateful that I am doing what I love at the moment. Okay, taking what I have learned, sharing it with people who will obviously, hopefully take it to more people from here. I also am grateful that I will see my best friend today evening. I am also grateful that my book is waiting for me at the end of the day. Very, very tiny, insignificant things in the grand scheme of things in the world. But these are all things that are valid because they make me and you happy, right? So that is the point of journaling. That is the point of a mindful self care activity such as this. So the takeaways, okay, what basically was the point of this entire thing is that I acknowledge, and it is a very, very valid feeling to live with stress and anxiety, right? Particularly with the kind of lives that we live or are forced to live. All of us work in corporates. Corporates that take a lot from us, yeah, while giving very less back. It only makes sense that we take the time in our day, in our week, to check in with ourselves, just as you would go to a doctor, just as you would go to a normal general physician to check your BP, to check anything else, right? These check ins, these sort of check ins are for your mind because any mental health work is always maintenance work, right? Maintenance work is basically like oiling your car, for example. And I always say that this is an example I always use. You would never have a car that runs if you do not service it once in a while, if you do not take care of it. Our minds are pretty much the same, right? And it becomes a little more difficult because our inner journey does not have any, how do I say, any markers per se. So it is entirely upon you to check in, to know when something is not right, to take care of it when you can, as long it is, something that you can take care of. If in spite of practicing these things, if in spite of taking care of your mental health, it is not getting better, or you feel like there is something extra that needs to be addressed, you're always welcome to have a conversation with me or any other psychologist in this world. Okay, the point is to understand when to get help. Now, this particular exercise, the journaling technique, works on a principle from this sort of therapy. It's called cognitive behavior therapy. There, we essentially take your cognitions, we examine the negative ones, we help you examine the negative ones. And if the negative ones do not have a solid basis for being real, with our help, with the insight from the psychologist, or through these sort of activities, you'll be able to change them over a course of time, right? You'll be able to challenge negative beliefs, distorted beliefs, beliefs that are out of proportion, that need not be something that gives you anxiety or stress, and you'd be able to change them with conscious practice. All of these activities are designed to help you get clarity of your mind, of your feelings, of your fears, and the situations that you're in. I hope that all of you would have had something to take back from this session. I hope you've all had a nice time and that you'd all be able to take something back from this workshop.